Hello, welcome to the third week of these podcasts. I've really enjoyed it. Just chatting with my friends has been so enjoyable. Today's podcast is with one of my oldest friends, Jamie Kitson. He is a very strong man. He has been through a hell of a lot over the last 2 to 3 years, none more so than over the last year. So this podcast is going to have just a little disclaimer. There is some bad language, and the subject matter that we're going to talk about, well, what Jamie's going to talk about, is very sensitive. It's very personal to him. And really, I think I just need to thank him for just taking 2 hours out to sit and talk to me about what has been going on, and really just for me to hear how he has overcome a really tough year. Like all of these podcasts, I have to sit down, and once we've recorded them, sometimes I'm in the same room, sometimes we're on Skype. Once we've recorded them, I have to sit and edit them down. Now with this podcast, I'm not going to edit anything. I'm going to leave it in as it was recorded and as it was between me and Jamie. So if there's a few bits here and there that you might not hear as well, there might be a few dropouts. The reason why that is because obviously we've recorded it over Skype. Jamie lives in Wales, I live in England. My internet isn't very good, his is really good. So, we are going to have a little bit of like in and out, but I wanted to leave it in its entirety just so you can all hear what he's got to say, how I react to it, and really just enjoy the podcast as much as you can. Like all of the podcasts I've done, Jamie picked a song at the start, and because I know him so well, I knew he was going to pick something that was personal to him, something that he loves. So he's picked a song that you might not have heard of. If you are a gamer, you might have heard of it, but the song he has picked is by Billy Raffoul, or Billy Raffoul, depending on where you're from, and the song is called Hell or High Water. Please listen, please enjoy, and I will see you on the other side. So, I obviously can't play the song in the video, because if I did, then a lot of artists would be pretty annoyed with me. So, what I've done is I've put a little link at the bottom, and you can listen to the song either now, or you can listen to the song when it's finished. That's completely up to you, but we're just going to jump straight in. Enjoy. Okay. So, you picked a song. Why did you pick that song?
Well, I picked that song because it was a song featured in the game moment, Days Gone, which is unbelievable. Absolutely love it. I think it's the only game where I've actually gained platinum on it.
Wow.
Booked week of work to play. It's a storyline, story-driven game. Good writers. It was really good. But also because the song after splitting with my ex, obviously I've been with for like over, I think it's 7 years.
Yeah.
It's a song that at the time I could really relate to. Like when I started reading it lyrically, just going through what the actual artist actually wrote, and just reading it line for line. I don't know, I just, like I said, just kind of, for me, at that time, when I split up, I thought that this is a song that I wish I kind of had at that time, just to kind of help with that process of moving on, kind of thing, where, like, one of my first states was denial, you know, oh, should I be doing this? No, you know, look how amazing she was, blah, blah, as everyone does. They go through that process where they get, I think ultimately the first one is fear of the unknown, you know, it's something new, especially, you know, where I had to completely move to a new location that I've never lived in before, an area away, don't know the area at all, no friends down here. But yeah, like I said, when I read it, I just thought, I don't know, just it's a good, nice song. And you know, I kind of thought, yeah, that song I kind of related to at one point in my life, not so much now, more so when we split.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's a nice song.
What took me about it was it's one of them songs where, well, I mean, you know my music taste, so it's one of those songs where you listen to it once and you kind of like get goose pimples and you're like, this is a good song.
Yeah.
And then you listen to it again and that's when you really take in the lyrics and, you know, that's when you start to relate to it. It's one of them where it hits you straight away, because I think a lot of people that listen won't probably have heard of the song before. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So actually, it's educating people on the fact that fucking things in the charts, you know, like there's a lot of music out there that can hit you powerfully. Do you know what I mean?
I think this song was primarily wrote on the fact that, I mean, I could be wrong, but from when you really read into it, it looks to me that it was wrote for someone that maybe, partner was dying of something and she was pushing him away because I don't know, but that's why it's such a powerful song, you know, lyrically and musically. You have to pretty much tune your guitar down to be able to play it, so you can't just stick a capo on or, you know, play it standard tuning, which again, that's why the sound of it, I was like, well, that sounds a bit different, you know. What chords are those, you know? And obviously chords I've played, they just step down.
That's it, isn't it?
But yeah, it's a nice song. It's a beautiful song.
Very, very powerful. I really enjoyed it. Like, I think I said to you privately, but I will say now, I have had to listen to a lot of rubbish songs whilst doing these. So it's nice and refreshing to get one that's, you know, something that maybe I can relate to as well, and something that I can listen and think that's a good song. So, thank you.
No worries. I'm glad it meant something to you as it did to me.
Oh. So, our friendship is a long one. Do you want to talk about how you know me and how we met and all that jazz?
Yeah, so I met Paul when he used to stalk me, which then obviously, you know, progressively moved him onto the sex offenders list. No.
Just to clarify, I'm actually not on that because...
Not now.
No, I'm not at all. Like, you know, want to be, you know, a teacher, so...
You said no boundaries, so I'm sorry, you know.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know the CRB, man, so you're all good. I'll make them think, won't it, to staff? They'll be like, Anyway, so I met Paul at Kingsmead at high school. You were in my form, and I think pretty much we all hit it off, our little group, from day one, I think, I would say, or near enough anyway.
I definitely think so, yeah.
I can't remember that far back. It seems. I mean, I know I'm only 30, but I still can't. I literally it's just a blank to me. Year 7. I can remember, some certain little things that pop up in my mind about, during that year. But I do obviously remember seeing, you, Dan, Fraser's face, Steve's, just like, just there when I think about those times. And it was some good times, really good times.
I think so. Because I think, like, my earliest memory of you is probably, like you said, as form days, because obviously I've sat down with Dan and talked to Dan. So obviously, when he asked me, he was like, oh, well, we went to primary school together. But obviously we were at different primary schools, so our first real, like, conversation was when we were in year 7, so for all intents and purposes, we didn't even know we existed until then, 11 years old, which is what high school's all about, isn't it? But I think we've had some fantastic times together, for sure. I've got to try and think of the earliest memory there now, because we had English together, didn't we?
Yeah, at one point. I can't. You see, I can't remember what year. How old was you when we went to gigs and stuff? When, like, was it the Subways you went to see?
How old would we have been then? Yes, that would have been.
That would have been like near enough year 7, I would have thought.
Oh God, no.
No, was that older than that?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It probably was about year 9. That.
Oh right, okay. I can't remember that.
Early teenagers, weren't we?
Yeah.
And then obviously, like, I think that's what we had in common, wasn't it? Like, we had the same kind of taste in music.
Yeah.
You were you especially, you were very likeable, very funny. It's a shame that you've changed now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously we got older, didn't we?
Yeah.
and you went off to college.
Yeah.
I went off to sixth form, and then I went off to uni. And did you start working straight out of college, or did you?
Yeah, so I actually I dropped out of college. I had my, which was pretty bad, but I was on my last year, all distinctions, and I just woke up one morning and was just like, I really don't want to fucking do this anymore. This like, it just doesn't really interest me. So I kind of had an inkling that I wanted to go down the computer route, because something that I've always been good at, but it's not something that I've always wanted to kind of pursue as a career. Yeah. More like a hobby. Yeah. And that's what led me into my first job. Well, it wasn't really my first job. My first job was McDonald's in Heath Hayes, Hensford, where it was in the middle. But yeah, my job kind of contributing towards my career to where I am now, at Rob Aston College, where they had an IT apprenticeship there going. Yeah. And I remember when I went for the interview, there was just like, loads of people there. And I wasn't the first choice either. I was the second choice. They offered it to someone, they turned it down. So I was sloppy seconds.
You've not looked back, and I think that's...
No.
Sometimes it's in life, isn't it? It's all about being in the right place at the right time, and like you say, like if you hadn't got that job at Rob Aston, you would have probably still been doing computers, but somewhere else. But it got you a stepping stone onto, where you wanted to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it propelled me. That place, the people I met there, it pretty much set that foundation of knowledge to kind of go right. After working there I think it was like I worked there for like 5 years, something like that. Yeah. And pretty much then I could quite comfortably go and work from public into private sector, and I was fine. I was more than capable of being able to do the job at hand. So I was extremely fortunate And then from then on, that was it. It just got better and better, really.
That's it. I remember when I come back from university, because I know you obviously came and saw me at uni, didn't you? Because we were obviously still good friends. You know what I mean? We still are good friends. And and then you were still working at Rob Baston. And then when I came back from uni and I started working, that's when we used to have the old Rob Baston days, wasn't it? Like
Kits and Towers.
That was it, yeah. The weekend was I'd either go to the football, like with my dad, and then come to yours, or we'd just hang out all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
Yeah.
And I just remember like chilling. We used to chill in your room in Kits and Towers, and we just
official place on Google Maps had it as well. Still to this day.
Is it really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Last time I checked, about a year ago, it was still there. I'm going to check now, actually. Google Maps.
If this comes back as Kits and Towers, it's going to be unbelievable.
No. It was there about a year, maybe 2 years ago.
Somebody finally checked it.
Yeah, may have done. I don't even think the buildings are there anymore. I've been told. I think they've been knocked down.
Wow.
Oh, that's a shame.
But we used to have like long weekends, didn't we, where like we'd go to sleep when the sun was coming up, and like we'd just watch films all night and like just chatted all night.
Yeah.
Listen to music, and it was just really, really good times, really.
Surreal as well at the same time, wasn't it? Because we were in a location where there wasn't anyone around for probably within 2 mile radius.
Yeah.
Apart from a security guard.
Yeah.
Obviously, I became, I think you did as well, quite friendly with him.
Yeah, lovely bloke.
Used to get pissed all night. And I'd have to do the rounds for him because it was such a weird place. Literally, I'd walk outside my front door and I'd go fishing in the carp pond, like a stone's throw away, or I'd go, rabbit hunting or whatever, and all the agricultural sports kind of thing was just like, at my doorstep. Off I went. It was a good. I do miss it to a certain extent. It was an amazing place to live.
I think it really was. It was just like you say at the time. It fitted perfectly with you because you lived on site. You were doing something that you loved. And you had that freedom to be able to do what you wanted. Do you know what I mean? It was obviously just the location, wasn't it, that was really the problem? Because there's literally nothing in at Rob Baston, his own Penkridge that way.
Yeah.
There was just the camera, and then a couple of shops, and that was it. But and then obviously I went off to China.
Yeah. And
we used to have our like chats. We probably had a good couple of years where we didn't talk because obviously I was in China.
Yeah, we definitely had a gap, didn't we? I'd probably say.
Well, obviously I didn't have social media, did I? And you've I don't know how recently you've come off social media, haven't you?
Oh, I've come off. God, it must have been. It might have even been when did I split with Kelly the first time? About 3 years ago, I think I'd come off it completely then.
Yeah.
I just had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now, obviously, I've come back from China and we started chatting more and more, and then I think again we had that little lull where we would speak kind of like once every couple of months. Do you know what I mean? And then, especially over the last, would you say, 6-7 months, we've been speaking a lot more.
I think it's like me and you, and like me and Dan.
Yeah.
We have this relationship where we can literally just pick up where we last left off, and it's a bond that I think it's rare to see these days. I think a lot of people, especially in groups of friends, I've seen personally where they hold like resentment towards the other person because they haven't kept in touch or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas, we both all of us just kind of understand, just want, life, gets in the way and whatnot. And
well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. It's just the way it is. But like you say, I think our friendship's never been broken, has it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've always been there when we've needed each other, and we've always had a good time. And I think that's why you're such a good person to sit and talk to on here, because you've been through a lot. You've lived through a lot.
Yeah.
And I look at you now, and you're so strong. So I think it's going to be quite intriguing the next hour, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it will be. Yeah, it's I think there'll be some times where it might get a little bit upsetting.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing we'll naturally get to those.
Yeah, I think we will. Okay. So, as you mentioned at the start, when we were talking about your song and all that, you aren't actually in England anymore.
No.
You're miles away.
Yeah, not as west as you can go in Wales, but yeah, I'm near enough. I live in a place called Llanelli, double L, which is it's in Carmarthenshire. So I moved up to this area not so long back, just before Christmas.
That's right. And what made you move to Wales in the first place? Because obviously it's not like you just moved at Christmas. It was like, how long have you been in Wales now?
I think it's been about 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's been about 7 years I've been in Wales.
So what took you there?
So basically, my ex-partner Kelly, we met in England.
Yeah.
And we started a relationship in England. And then her father had said to her before we had met that he would like her to come back because he wanted to help her start her own business and things like that. And at the time, she didn't tell me straight away because she didn't know what was going to happen between us, which was fair enough.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, as we grew closer, she kind of dropped the bombshell and said, look, I'm going to Wales. I have to go back to Wales.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground, really, and I'll be going without you kind of thing. Well, at the time, I was head over heels for Kelly. As soon as I met her, I was like, I think she's definitely going to be the one I want to spend the rest of my life with. I know we all say that when we meet someone, but I've had my fair share of relationships, to kind of wait them out if you can, in a non-sexist way, and to say that at the time, she was by far, the one, when comparing to others. So I had to make a decision. I mean, she obviously said to me she wants me to come and she still wants to have a relationship. But, she's got to go. So it was a bit of a bombshell. I thought about it for I have to excuse the alarm which is going off. Smoke alarm. It thinks basically it's attached to mains and it's acting like there's no battery in it. I don't know what's going on. I need to kind of find out. But anyway.
You're alright, don't worry.
I've lost my flow now. So yeah, she asked me if I wanted to go, and after a couple of days, I think, I was like, yeah, I'll go. And she basically told her dad what we were doing. James was going to come down, and that was, yeah, okay, great. it wasn't planned to go down as quickly as I did.
Yeah.
So we were together, I think, 6 months, if that. We were together 6 months, and eventually Kelly went up to Wales. And then when she was in Wales, I had a bit of a bombshell, found out that she was pregnant.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, okay. Which then basically just put a bit of pressure on me to kind of get over there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Get my job. So I went over one weekend. I was going up there every weekend, being honest. But I went over one weekend. We set aside, and I was like, right, got a load of job interviews. I think I had about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
All within the private sector.
Yeah.
And it was the first job interview I went to in Bridgend, a company called Rock IT, which I spent like years with them. And the guy offered me the job on the spot. I had the interview with the director. They were quite a small company at the time. And he offered me the job on the spot. Brilliant. So I was like, right. So that weekend I went back. After the weekend, I went back and gave my notice in. And then literally within 3 weeks, I can't remember now. Yeah, so I went up, I moved up. And I'm pretty sure I moved up, and I think the following month later, Kelly lost the baby. So after about, I think she was like 8 weeks in. It's quite common it's really common with the first, your first pregnancy with a woman, because it's kind of like, it's like a dummy run, basically, which is how I was explained and have been explained multiple times by, people who work in, in the hospitals and whatnot. And they said that, they pretty much do a dummy run to get them ready for the next time. And there's research to back it as well, so double check that.
Yeah.
So it was upsetting time. It was quite horrific because of how it happened as well. Kelly went in to go and have the first scan, which I was meant to go to, but she decided to go earlier because of she was concerned about the baby for some reason. Went in. I couldn't get down there in time. She went in, and then they said, yeah, it's not there, it's gone, kind of thing.
Fucking hell.
And then, but that made me grow even closer to Kelly.
Yeah.
Because basically, seeing this person that I love go through something so heartbreaking, something that's still inside her as well at that time, and trying to be strong, not just for me, but for everyone around her as well. And all I wanted to see her do was cry, and she wouldn't, it was horrible. But anyway, at the time, we moved past it, and then we went from there.
How old were you at this point then?
So I would have been about 24.
Because that's the one thing which I'll touch on briefly, because I'll just mention it. Because obviously you go through life and school and all that, and obviously you know how to add up, you know how to take away, you know how to write, you know how to read, you know how to do all the basics, you know how to do everything. And but the mental side of schools is where it's really lacking. Like, they don't teach you about real life, they don't teach you how to react when you're younger, especially, like how to react with heartbreak, with grief, with all these things that as a young adult, teenager, young adult, you actually need to learn.
Yeah.
So obviously when something traumatic like that happens to you, you don't really know how to feel.
No, I think I think, like, you know, you do get taught. I mean, probably not so much as what we did. As you know, with sex ed now, he's probably even less. I don't know. He's probably more focused on contraception, but not actually what happens to the body.
Yeah.
You know, a baby's being developed, and yeah, I agree. I think, you know, it either gets dismissed or it gets firewalled. You know, and I think, yeah, you're right. I think when it comes to, like, mental awareness, I suppose, which is what's obviously being highlighted at the moment in the media as well with celebs, not just about people that have, you know, schizophrenia or whatever, just, you know, how to deal with issues that can obviously, you know, get your mind into that state where you do need medical help as well, like, you know, coping with issues.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's something that should be dealt with more in schools.
Yeah, I agree.
But whether, you know, they'll ever do that, I doubt it.
Yeah. So obviously, after that had happened with yourself and Kelly, continue the story a little bit. What happens after that then?
Yeah, so after that we got our own place. Eventually, we were living in Kelly's dad's house, which eventually was mine, which was a huge house. It was a five-bedroom house, and we had our own living room and bedroom that were next to each other. So we pretty much, he had his own space and we had our own space until we sorted out somewhere to live.
Yeah.
So we lived there, and then eventually we moved into one of her dad's properties because someone was moving out, so it just made sense for us to move in there, and it was reasonable, the rent was reasonable, so it was fine. And that's when, I think, a couple of years passed, say, I think it was a year and a half passed, and that's when we had Isla. And she was born in the February, and there was no problems with the birth, nothing at all great. Everything went, like, you know, just, it was like, I mean, I was a mess when Kelly went to labour, because I just didn't know. Like, it's scary for a man because obviously you want to be in control of the situation and help where you can, but you're actually helpless. There's nothing you can do, unless obviously, you know, you are a trained midwife, then fair enough, you know, you can do. But if you're not, then you're just standing there, you know, trying to make it understand what the vocab is that's going back and forth between, you know, medical staff, and, you know, it's just, it was just horrific. Yeah, it was scary. Like, the whole birth process was scary. But obviously, at the end of it, it was magical and something that I'll never forget. You know, it was such an amazing time, you know, to see the birth of my daughter. And, you know, it's one of those moments where you feel like, well, yeah, I've done that now. I'm happy I could, you know, get hit by a bus tomorrow and I would be, you know, feel like I've accomplished everything I need to do in life. It's that kind of feeling, you know. So yes, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then after that, then we went through a bit of a rough patch after Isla was born, which, I'll be honest with you, we were going through rough patches before as well, but I kind of guessed, like, I kind of thought, well, the way Kelly, I don't know when, but something changed in the relationship. I'm not going to say Kelly because that's not fair. The way that we dealt with things changed. I don't know when it was. Something, maybe it was to do with the pregnancy, I don't know. Yeah. But there were times when, you know, I see insights to me which that's never ever been brought out of me before. And when, you know, I look back at it now later on in life, and I think to myself, you know, being with that person obviously made me be that way with them. And I've never been with anyone where they've made me feel so angry or so upset or whatever. Everything was just amplified more than to what I could deal with at that time, and it was it was a shame really, because I think a lot of pressure was on Kelly because she was still working. She had the baby on the Friday and she was back in work on the Monday because she owned her own business.
Yeah.
Which, I did say, don't do it and whatever, but she wanted to do it, and obviously she was doing it for, thinking about the money as well. So she was looking after like a newborn baby and like 5 other children at the time. After just coming out of hospital. So that must, obviously that's going to grind her quite a lot. My job got quite stressful because I was back and forth in London. I spent a hell of a lot of time in London with the company that was my first job down in Wales. I'd spend a couple of weeks in London and then back again for a couple of weeks and back in London for a couple of weeks. And it was really great to me because I knew it was never going to change, and I kept asking for them to kind of stop sending me into London, but they were making so much money and wanted to continue making more that they just kind of humoured me with it really and said, yeah, we'll sort it out, but they never really did. Which then leads on to we moved into a house. We moved into the big house that we at Kelly's dad's house, which I didn't want to move into. So this is kind of like the side of the story, the downfall of the relationship, I suppose you could say, which I'm happy to talk about. So basically we had we wanted to move out the house that we were already in because it only had 2 bedrooms, but the 1 bedroom was downstairs and it was kind of kitted out to be a nursery for Kelly's job. So Kelly wanted a bigger house with a room that she could do a job in, as well as I'll have her own room and we have our own room, which is understandable. So we're looking for 3 bedrooms at a minimum, or somewhere with a garage, 2 beds in a garage. Basically, I got railroaded into buying a house that I didn't want to buy, which was like a £300,000 house, because of financial issues that her father had at the time, which I didn't know anything about, and I truly believe that she didn't know the full ins and outs of it. She just knew her dad was in trouble, and us buying this house would relieve that pressure from him. But still though, she told a couple of lies to get me to move in, and so obviously I went along with it because I loved her, and eventually, I did kick up a huge fuss. My family told me not to do it, and in the end it was like I had no choice really. I had to do it. So we moved in, and then I think this was the next year. So we'd been in for about a year, and then it come to Christmas time, and I put on a fair bit of weight. I wasn't happy at the time, which I think, when I look back at my life now, when I put weight on, it's because I'm not happy.
Yeah.
When I'm happy, I want to be out, I'm doing more, I'm a happy person, but whereas when I'm not happy, I do hide away. Yeah. I've learned this about myself more so recently, whereas I'm living on my own now, and I'm rarely ever in the flats. I'm always out and about running or, doing whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was quite upset in myself, disgusted with myself, with the amount of weight that I put on. And also I think, me and Kelly had just lost that spark because of, the burden of a child that we didn't know how to deal with at the time. It was still getting our footing with it. It was difficult for me, difficult for her, you know, me working all the hours under the sun. And eventually Kelly went on holiday in the November, and then to Portugal. She asked me to go, and I said, no, we can't afford to go to Portugal. And she said, well, it's not going to be as expensive. And I said, well, no, we can't afford to go to Portugal. But she decided to go anyway, and she went with her dad. So it was Isla, Kelly, to go and see her auntie who lives in Portugal. When she come back, things did get, looking back now, I think things like degraded hugely with the relationship. And then December, she asked me to, after Christmas, she asked me to go. She wanted to break. So I moved out on Barrel and moved into one of Kelly's dad's places, which was a shithole, broken windows, and it was the most horrific thing I've ever lived in my life, and I was having to pay money for it, which was like, can't believe. So anyway, I was there for less than a week. I found a shed, because money was all up in the air at the moment, with, you know, having to pay half the mortgage and whatnot. I found a place in a lovely place down the road, like a shared room, reasonable price. I moved there, and it was great, you know. And then I started to, you know, recoup, get myself better mentally, physically, hitting the gym, met some new friends as well that lived in the house. It was kind of like probably what you'd say like the uni experience.
Yeah.
You know, these people that were there, they had their own rooms. We would chill out sometimes in the living room together. Sometimes we wouldn't.
Yeah.
We'd all do our own thing the majority of the time, but then sometimes we'd go out together as well on nights out, and it was really good actually. I do miss those times, you know. And then I basically had a phone call from someone when I was working at this company, Rock IT, the company I was still working at, where I was doing these things that I didn't want to do, working in London primarily. I had a phone call from a recruitment agency saying, we've got a job, it's in West Wales, they're offering 50,000 salary, overtime on top, on call on top, along with paying for relocation fees. And I was like, well, you know, why not? I'll just apply for it. So give them my CV. I had a couple of interviews, got through the first, got through the second. Then there was with the actual managing director of the company. And after that, then I think it was a week later, I found out I got a job. And I was like, right, I've just got the job of a lifetime. Financially, the job of a lifetime. It wasn't the, you know, anyway, move on to that. But yeah, so it was like everything just within the course of like I left the house in December, and then within June, I got a job, you know, relocated. I was offered to relocate, you know, they're going to pay the fees and whatnot. And I'm like, you know, it was like a dream job. It was unbelievable, you know, like my life just turned around so quickly. So I decided to go. And during this time, are we all good for time?
Bro, we've got plenty of time. You don't have to stop. You just keep going.
I don't want to bore you.
You're not boring me. You're actually... Like, I'll take some time to talk to you once you've finished, but
yeah,
it's actually quite insightful of how you would react when you put under enormous pressure. You're in a place where you're on your own, and all these things are happening, and you've had to find yourself somewhere new to live, and now you're finding a new job, and so to speak. But essentially, you're doing this on your own. Because, yeah, you had us, you had me, you had your friends, but we are, 200, 300 miles away.
Yeah.
And it's not like you could have just been like, right, I'm coming back home, because you would have had to go to work every day and do almost a 600-mile round trip every day.
Yeah.
It just wasn't feasible. So the way you have reacted to doing, everything, it's a really good insight to people who don't know what to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You keep going. You're doing really well.
Well, during that time, within those 6 months that me and Kelly had split the first time,
yeah,
I basically it come to light that she had moved someone into our house, who she had met when she went to Portugal in the November, which I mentioned.
Yeah.
And so I found out about this. I knew something was going on because when I went to go and pick up my daughter she wouldn't allow me to come to the house to pick her up. She'd always meet me at certain locations. I just thought it was really strange, but I didn't really think too much of it.
Yeah.
And my mum was kept in touch with her as well, constant touch with her, and my mum actually took Kelly's side at one point. I remember writing up as per usual.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I remember mum having a go at me at some point saying, or maybe not to me specifically, but talking to my nan and my family about me, saying, he doesn't do nothing, I can see why she's left him, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, found out that she had, like I said, moved this guy in. Apparently, he had spoken to her when we had split up. And then he asked if there's somewhere to live. She said that, yeah, you can come and live in this room and pay rent, because obviously I wasn't there. And then that's how their relationship started to transpire. This guy is obviously an absolute psychopath, as I mentioned to you, but
yeah,
he basically was texting me, pretending to be my brother at points and things like that. He was just a psychopath anyway, weird guy. He was kind of threatened by me, although me and Kelly weren't even speaking. So I don't know whether she had said, I don't know what talks were going on between them, but anyway, they definitely slept with each other within February time, because Kelly was pregnant again with his child. And then she went and had an abortion, which I didn't find this out till not long before I got this job. He actually texted me and told me, pretending to be my brother, and went, did you know Kelly was at the hospital the other day? And I was like, Will, what are you doing in Wales? You live in Stafford, mate. And then he never responded back. And then I started thinking, I was like, I think I know who it is, but why would he have said that? So I questioned Kelly. And after back and forth, she finally admitted what had happened. And she had an abortion as soon as she was pregnant. So, and then
what's going through your mind at this point then?
I was getting on with my life, and then I find out that she's... I didn't look at it as in like she cheated on me or anything like that at the time.
Yeah.
I looked at it as in, she's upset and I need to be there for her. And also, I feel I had a bad feeling about this guy, and I was right to have that bad feeling as well. This guy was absolutely off his rocker. I mean, to this day, the guy he stalks me to a point online anyway, through social media. It was one of the reasons why I come off it. I didn't want him to kind of know anything about my life whatsoever, but it was one of the things that fueled me to come off social media. I'd have lots of calls from him pretending to be people, whatnot, threatening to kill me, stuff like that. I never retaliated to any of them, not at all. Didn't give him satisfaction. I literally used to listen to him, and then he'd put the phone down, because I'd just keep listening to him, and then eventually he'd put the phone down. Didn't speak to him at all. But yeah, at the time when I found out all this, Kelly basically, I found this out, say, a couple of weeks before the job offer,
Yeah.
I got the job offer. Kelly basically said that she loves me. She's always been loving me. She's so sorry. She wants me back. She wants us all to be her family again. And, you know, obviously people tell you don't do it. You know, you're not going to be able to forgive her for it and all this.
Yeah.
And I did. I took her back because, well, I think maybe it was more so to be with my daughter as well. You know, I was missing my daughter. I wanted her to grow up. I didn't want to be growing up in a broken family.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, hindsight now, being given that, you know, knowing what I know now, and obviously being asked that question, should we start again? I would have said no. But, you know, you've got to learn from your mistakes, really. You've got to go through them. You know, so many people from the outside can tell you the right answer, but you've still got to fail at it to be able to remember that was the wrong decision. Yeah. You've got to learn.
No, I agree.
You know, and so I took her back and said that we'd see what happens and we'd try, and, you know, like, you have the honeymoon period in relationships, so it was bound to be great for the first 6 months. You know, That's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, obviously I thought, you know, she was different with me and I was different with her. You know, we were both working at it. And then eventually I said, okay, well, I was living in hotels, which my new employees are paying for. So I was commuting back and forth from Haverfordwest, Haverfordwest is basically the furthest west you can go in Wales. So it's closest point to Ireland.
Wow.
Literally I lived like 2 minutes away from that point.
Wow.
It was literally in the middle of nowhere. I was having to commute back and forth. It's costing a fortune. So in the end, I was like, right, let's find somewhere and let's move up here. So we did. Moved her up there, and in all fairness, we had a good run at it to a point. You know, we had our ups and downs. One of the things that damaged us from before that kind of come up was finances. We've never been one for, you know, basically being one when it comes to money. I've tried to encourage it. I would like to think I have. I'm sure she'd disagree with me now, but and also, you know, her dad, that trust side, there was a lot of things that I can't really talk about.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Because they could potentially be illegal. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that she did. She played naive to it, you know, and I just think that could have jeopardised the family. And I think, you know, I don't know. It was weird. We had a good run. It was good, but I think that was always there at the back of my mind. The trust was damaged, you know. But I didn't really deal with what happened. I didn't deal with what happened when it comes to her. I didn't deal with what happened with when it comes to just losing my flow now. When it comes to her dad's with the house, when it comes to her in the relationship with this other guy,
Why do you think you hadn't kind of like reacted to it all? And
I really don't know. To this day, like, I sit down and I think about it, and I really don't know why I didn't. I thought I did deal with it in my head. I thought that it was, you know, I'd gone through it, indexed it, and it, you know, I accepted it, done. But I generally do think, I mean, I'm quite good with dealing with my problems. I do talk about things. I'm not a closed book. I can be a closed book with people that I don't know, but I think everyone is when they don't know them very well. Yeah. But like I said, with this, I did talk about it, but I don't know. I just think maybe it was just so traumatic what happened, what I feel that she did towards me, or how she hurt me. I know she probably didn't intend to hurt me the way she did, but it did hurt. Yeah, just like it must just hurt me so much that I don't know. It just kind of never, I just didn't. I tried to deal with it the same way I deal with all my issues, and maybe this one in particular, those 6 months. What transpired over those 6 months should have been dealt with differently, and maybe jump into a relationship, stop that period, that healing period.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe going back with her just kind of made me try and forget it. Maybe I don't know.
Because I think. I'll just mention this now because it's something that I think about quite a lot. When I look at my circle of friends, it's been there for many, many years. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of my friends, you and everybody who's included, we've been friends for 10, 15 years in some cases, in some cases 20 plus. And yet, with men, it is still a taboo subject to talk about our feelings. It's not seen as manly. It's not seen as we're supposed to act in a certain way. It's like, oh, let's go down the pub and have a few beers and then get Larry and go out. Do you know what I mean? Whereas actually, as I've gotten older, I've realised that the people that are closest to you are the ones that actually you need to kind of put your arm around from time to time and just say, are you okay? Do you know what I mean? Because it's just this unwritten thing that I don't understand, where as a male we don't talk about it, and then there's this also unwritten thing that as a female, because they're more open to talk to other females about things, that they deal with things better. So in some degree, do you think maybe it was something along those lines where you did talk about it and you did process it at the time, but you weren't as willing to kind of discuss it as openly as you would have done now, like you have done for the past, I don't even know how long it's been, but
I think, sorry to interrupt you, I just want to quickly say it before I forget it. I think with that 6 month period with that guy, when she introduced that guy into her life, within like a month of me leaving, and then obviously with the abortion, lying to my family, saying that wasn't happening, I think I was embarrassed to kind of talk about it because of going back with her. And I don't mean that to offend her. I mean that, just being honest. I remember speaking to a guy who I met in my new job at the time when I went to work in Haverfordwest.
Yeah.
And we had to go to London. Funnily enough, so I'm there trying to get away from London. I had to go back down to London, but it was only for a week, just to kind of introduce ourselves, because the company was London based.
Yeah. So
he wants us to come in the office, and whatever. And me and him went out on the nights, and I was telling him about it. And he's a guy, really nice guy. He's in his mid-40s. He's got 5 kids, something like that. Really good endurance runner. Anyway. And I was telling him about it, and I remember even stopping myself about certain parts of it, I was embarrassed to tell him everything. I didn't want him to know everything. I was embarrassed about but I wanted to tell him, but I couldn't tell him because I didn't want him to judge me thinking that I'm a stupid person, or I didn't want him to tell me that I made a mistake getting back with her or whatever, or for him to turn around and give his opinion as to why he wouldn't have got back with her or whatever. But I did really want to open up. I did want to tell him, this is the guy that's obviously got, at the time, 14 years on me. So I really did want I wanted his advice, but at the same time I didn't really want to hear it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can really. And I didn't really kind of delve into it as much as, we split up, we got back together, and here we are.
Yeah.
And but that was that was during the December time, that had happened. So me and Kelly got back in like the August time, July, August, you know, and then we were living with each other about that time. Yeah, so I didn't really, and you know, my family at the time were obviously fuming with her, but they appreciate the fact that, you know, I wanted to be with her.
Yeah.
So they were kind of not really talking to me about it. And I don't think I even spoke to you truly about it at the time. I think I might have left things out with you, and maybe there were times when we had like drunken moments or whatever, if we met up at that point. I can't even remember. I don't think we did.
I remember at the time when you moved out, I was still in China. When you first initially moved out.
I remember, yeah.
And you were living in the fucking crack flat.
Yeah.
With all the broken windows and stuff.
Yeah.
Because we would communicate when I was in China. We'd be on the WeChat, wasn't it, there?
That's right, yeah.
And we would talk over there, and then almost like you moved out, and then obviously then we chatted over that, and you kind of said, I think over time, obviously, you said, I think we're going to give it another go. And I think at the time I said, well, you know, as an outsider looking in, I was just like, go for it, do you know what I mean? Make it work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because obviously the decisions that you make are your own, and I don't really know Kelly at all, you know. I mean, I definitely wouldn't say you've painted her in a positive light.
No.
But there's a difference, is that I never got to see her every day. You've said that to me, haven't you? You know, in the past, you know, you were with her every day, and you obviously loved her. And
she couldn't have been all that bad if I was with her for how many years. So
exactly.
As much as I might have been negative towards her, I mean, I don't intend to be negative towards her. I'm literally just saying it as it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, like everyone else, you know, you've got to remember that, you know, she could not have been that bad, considering, you know, for me to be with her as long as I did. And she's not a bad person. I stand by that. She's an amazing mother.
Yeah.
And I think she'll be an amazing wife to the right person.
Yeah.
Carry on, sorry.
No. But yeah, so I was just going to say, you know, you obviously made the decision to get back with her, and you've just took this dream job, so to speak. You know, you're earning your dream job financially, as you said. You know, you're earning quite a lot of money. What gets us to the point that we're at now?
Yeah.
As much as you're willing to disclose of that.
Yeah, so I'm at this point now where things were going okay-ish. I've obviously buried the past.
Yeah.
As much as I can in my own head. Kelly then, we decided to have another child. It was planned.
Yeah.
So we've had Isla. Obviously lost the birth, had Isla. We were like, okay, you know, we're in a good place. Financially, I'm in a good place. You know, we like where we were. And I was like, okay, all right, that's fine, let's do it. Whether it was a hasty decision, I don't know at this time. May have been. I can't remember when we discussed it, but I know we did discuss it. I can't remember what's going on through my head, but I know making a decision like that wouldn't have been done lightly from either side, you know, and it was a planned thing. So Kelly became pregnant quite quickly, super sperm.
That's it, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so time went on. We were just, you know, getting on with life. And then in the first bombshell to hit was in July, when basically Kelly's mum, I don't know whether I should talk about Kelly's mum really.
No, I don't think you should.
No.
But personally, things weren't going right in family.
Something tragic happened with the family concerning Kelly's mum, which was, I think that's fair to say. Which, you know, completely destroyed Kelly, you know, which is to be expected.
Yeah.
so obviously the baby was planned for October. We, because of what had happened, we decided to move. Well, Kelly wanted to move back to Bridgend, so it was kind of like, right, okay, I need to find another job and, you know, move back, which I kind of took it as a positive thing, because at the time I was going through a bit of a slight career change where I was still working within the tech industry, but moving from support into development. So I went to the software developer side. I've been studying for a good couple of years to get to that point. And then thankfully, first interview, I got the job. So I'm quite lucky. I'm extremely lucky. I must be at the right place at the right time. Got a job quite quickly, and gives us the money that we needed to be able to move back to Bridgend and start over there. I didn't really want to move back to Bridgend, but I was dreading it. I did make that clear, but at the same time, because of the event that had taken place, I didn't really have much of a leg to stand on it was kind of like whatever she said goes at that point.
Yeah.
And I think everyone in the same position as me would have done exactly the same thing and gone, yeah, fair enough, let's go. So we moved back. Isla had to change schools, start again, which was horrific for her. And all this, and obviously she's at that age now where, at that point where she was fully aware of what was going on, she knew who her friends were back in Haverfordwest, so it was quite a difficult time for her as well, but she did get over it quite quickly, which was fortunate for us.
Yeah.
One, less thing to worry about. I started my new job in September, so obviously this is bringing us into last year. Last September. Absolutely loved my job. It was like, that worked out perfectly. It's the job of my dreams. Financially, I don't get, I'm down a hell of a lot of money to what I was getting paid before.
Yeah.
But the satisfaction that I get at this job is just tremendous. It's a lot more than I would have ever got in a year working at this other place.
Yeah.
I'm tasked every day, amazing. So that's one good positive to come out of that. And I'm thankful that I did make that choice to go into that industry, what with us going through that time, going through that issue at that time. And then October was the due date. I was at work at the time. Kelly had fell down the stairs, like the last couple of steps. She'd slipped on the last couple of steps and she'd kind of fell onto her back. And I didn't really think too much of it at the time. And she went and got checked anyway to make sure. And I said, well, if you're concerned, then go and get checked. That's all I can really, my advice, that's all I can offer you really, Go and get checked. So she got checked. They checked her and said she was fine. So it was all good in that respect. And then during October, so it would have been the week, so I think it was like the 15th, October the 15th. So my birthday is October the 19th. October the 15th, I believe, is a Monday. Kelly rang me up and said, I haven't felt the baby move for a bit now and I'm getting quite concerned, so I'm going to go to hospital. And I was like, okay, right, do you want me to come down with you? She was like, no, I'll go down my own. I'll let you know if there's anything, if you need to come out of work. Because at the time, obviously, where I am now, I work in Llanelli, which is about 45-minute drive away from Bridgend.
Yeah.
So it's not, it would take me a bit of time to get down there. And then I didn't hear nothing for about an hour, and then I had a phone call from her. She was in absolute hysterics, saying they're a bit concerned and they want to get the baby out now. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm guessing it's normal, it's okay, it's normal, like kind of asking her the question. And she said, I don't know, I'm really worried, I'm really scared. And I was like, okay, so I'm coming now. So I had a word with my employers, and just basically said, I need to leave. They were like, yeah, fine, it's fine. And I was people going, oh, good luck, congratulations, all this, you know, and I kind of didn't really think nothing of it, truth be told. So, you know, what I was about to walk into.
Yeah.
So I got in the car. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't actually worried. Like, I was just thinking, I was actually quite anxious, excited, but I wasn't, because Kelly, from when I've known her, she can be a little bit dramatic at times and that, but I just, but at the same time, like, it was the hysterics she was in was a little bit different. I was like, you know, it was weird. There was so many different feelings going through me at that time and emotions, and but it wasn't, I can just tell you that I wasn't really that negative towards what I was about to go into. It was more a positive thing, you know, yeah, it's going to happen today, let's see what happens, and let's go meet my son. And so I got there, I got to the hospital, pulled up, I got there, I think I got there within 40 odd minutes, went to the hospital, got to the ward, and the maternity ward, and I asked for where Kelly was, and Kelly Evans in Wales is like, everyone is called that. Yeah. And I nearly got taken into a room where someone called Kelly Evans was giving birth at that time. That's how, like, and the woman stopped me because she noticed her husband was there. So I nearly walked in and basically seen, you know, a woman with a baby hanging out of her vagina. Wow. Thankfully that didn't happen. Literally, she stopped me at the door and then she went, oh, right, yeah, okay, are you Jamie? And I went, yeah. And she's like, follow me. And I shit you not, I literally walked down this corridor. She went, you need to put your bag in there. I had my work bag, my laptop in, take your coat off. She went, you need to put these overalls on you, whatever they are, like, you know.
Scrubs, that kind of thing. Like,
scrubs, yeah. Put these on you. You need to wash your hands. You need to put this on your hair. I was like, okay. I was like, what's happening? She went, oh, they're going to start now. Literally, they're about to start. They're just, you know, they're going to wait now. They were going to start 5 minutes ago, but because you're here, they're going to wait. Just get yourself quickly scrubbed up and go in. So I got led in. Literally, there was about 8 people around her. Kelly was there. Belly was out. There was a curtain by her face. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, literally, I just walked out of the car. I walked out the car and walked into this operating room. So that was just like, I was like, oh my God, this is weird. So basically, I sat there next to Kelly, held her hands, and she was really upset, and she kept telling me, I'm really worried. I've just got a really bad feeling, which then kind of worried me then. But then there was a midwife standing next to me and Kelly the entire time, who basically kept telling us that it's okay, it's fine, it's normal. We're just a bit worried, so we want to get him out now rather than wait to go full cycle. And then there was the anaesthetist as well with Kelly, you know, and he was telling us as well, I'll be fine. This guy was like in his 60s, lovely guy, telling us, yeah, we'll be fine. And then they started making the cut and everything. They were like, can you feel anything? They're like, no. And they had literally like their hands inside her. And then like, it felt like time just kind of was going really, really slow.
Yeah, it would be.
I think we were only in there for like 40 minutes in total, but it felt like I was there for like probably like 5 hours, something like that. Like, I was expecting after the whole thing, when it ended, for it to be dark outside, and it wasn't. It was still light. Cause, I mean, I got there about 3 o'clock. I think it all started kicking off about. Yeah. So they took the baby out, and she went, oh, and then I remember the midwife going, oh, look, there he is, can you see him? And I was like, yeah, I see him. And I give Kelly a kiss, and she's like, is he all right? I was like, yeah, he looks okay. And then I seen they took him right to the back, and there was about 4 or 5 like doctors at the back, and they were like, I was just kind of monitoring their face, and they were basically just like, you know, trying to get him to breathe. I could see they were trying, but then again, that is quite common with babies, you know, when they come out, you know, sometimes they used to smack the babies to kind of, like, you know, get them going. To kickstart the lungs, basically, because obviously they're not and to take the first breath.
Yeah.
And so she carried on telling us everything was okay, the midwife, and then the first sign of concern was when they called the anaesthetist over. So then he then had to give the job for Kelly to someone else, and he went over. And then after that, then I remember looking at Kelly, and Kelly the entire time kept asking me, is he okay, is he okay? And I was like, yeah, he looks fine, yeah, he looks fine. She kept asking me because she knew I was lying.
Yeah.
And then I remember, it's almost as if I looked at Kelly, and then I remember looking back, and then they must have hit a silent alarm, because I never heard nothing, but I did see people just flood in all of a sudden, and there was not enough room for these people to all be in this same vicinity in the corner of this room. There was just not enough space for them. They were almost like circling around my son, and it was I could not see him at this point at all. There was just so many people there. There was no alarms though, as in you couldn't hear nothing. I'm guessing they do that to not distress the mom, because obviously the mom's there, she's cut wide open. They want to keep her as calm as possible until they've sewn her back up, kind of thing. And eventually I kind of clicked that he was dead when I think it was about after, it might have been about half hour since it all started, maybe 20 minutes after he'd come out. I just know that there was just no way that he would be 20 minutes and there's nothing at all.
Yeah.
And the midwife's face just all of a sudden dropped, and she wasn't literally giving anything out at all. The anaesthetist come back over, and he was taken over by an actual doctor, and he wasn't saying anything positive about the baby. He was just saying, we need to make sure you're okay, we need to make sure, trying to defer us from giving us the answers that we wanted at that point. And then as they sewed her up and she was pretty much back to normal, she still lied there for a bit and the curtain was still over, and then people started to leave the room, and then we were left with the woman that was standing next to us, the midwife, the anaesthetist, and then there was two young women that were there that were doctors, I'm guessing, and then there was this chap who was the main doctor, nice guy.
Yeah.
And he come over, they took the curtain away from Kelly, they rolled Kelly to the middle. I knew it was obvious then, and Kelly asked me, and I got to the point where I was not telling her anything, I kind of knew what was going on. And then she was like, I want my baby, and then the doctor come over to us, and he was so calm when he said it, and I remember his voice, it was just the room was just so quiet, and there was still people around, my son, just kind of I don't know what they were doing, but they were doing something, writing things down and whatnot, looking at the body and whatnot. Yeah. And then he basically turned around and just said that basically, I'm really sorry, but there's nothing we can do, I'm afraid he's died. And then the first thing I did was I literally broke down in tears, and I just said thank you so much, thank you everyone, just trying. I don't even know why I said it, I don't know, I just remember sitting back watching them, and I just remember thinking, they are really trying, they were really trying. And he did say to us actually at the time that we should have stopped after about 10 minutes, but we decided to go through another check, to go through all the checks again, just to make sure. But he said if he did come back after that second check, he probably would have been severely brain damaged because of the lack of oxygen to his brain and whatnot. And so Kelly was, she obviously cried. I kind of like got myself back together again. And then as I looked around, everyone in the room was crying. Everyone in the room. The anaesthetist was the one that shot me because he was so old, he's not so old, but, he was quite old, and he's obviously seen all this before, millions of times, I'm guessing. Yeah. And he literally just burst out crying. And he come up to me, and he hugged Kelly, and I'm so sorry. And then he went, and then all the women that helped put Kelly, obviously, put her back together again after they come over, they were crying their eyes out, come and said sorry to Kelly. The people that were helping, that were there with the clipboards, writing notes down, we put the clipboards down, crying their eyes out, come over to me and Kelly, I'm so sorry. And then it was left with me, Kelly holding the baby, the doctor and the midwife that was there the entire time. Yeah. She was just basically saying, and then the doctor was so professional. Like he's the only one who didn't cry, but I kind of wanted that from a doctor. I didn't want him to show any form of, weakness. I wanted him to be strong. Because it's almost because it sounds silly, but like if he was crying his eyes out and trying to explain to me what happened, I wouldn't have believed him.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was so calm and collected, and then he was telling me everything, factually as possible of what he thought at the times happened, which I wanted to know. It just kind of filled me with confidence that this guy was an extremely intelligent man, and I do genuinely believe that there was nothing that could have been done.
Yeah.
At that time, during the birth. And so basically we were wheeled off into another room with the baby, and then the midwife was with us, the one who was with us through the birth, and she got us like a hot drink, and then she said, Kelly was like, do you want to hold him? And I was like, no, I don't want to hold him. I couldn't hold him. Literally just couldn't hold him at the time. It was just, it was really strange. I felt guilty about it after, obviously, and I did eventually hold him.
But it's all happened so quickly. And like you said, you thought when you were in there, it felt like a lifetime. But it's all happened so quickly, and this has happened, and then you're being told the news, and then
it felt like we were in there for about 4 hours. We were in there for about 45, 50 minutes. The whole process took maybe an hour at the most. After as well, with the cleaning up and whatnot. I'll probably say maybe an hour, but it felt like I was in there for like 4 or 5 hours, if not longer. And then to come out, I was exhausted.
Yeah, I bet.
I had nothing in me, to be honest. I had no cry. I had no love. I had just no emotion in me at all. I was dead to the world. I was exhausted. God knows how Kelly must have felt. I'm not trying to sound like, the helpless man there, feel sorry for me or anything like that. I'm just literally just telling you how I felt. Yeah, and, Kelly, it was really difficult to see Kelly with this baby that was obviously dead.
Yeah.
And then her to like mothering this child, pretending almost that he was still alive, talking about him and, trying to like lighten the mood. And I just was just like gone, shot to shit my head was. There was just nothing there. I remember the midwife come out when I went to the car to tell my family. On my way back, the midwife come up to me and she said, before I went to the room with Kelly, she went, I really think you should hold your son. And I was like, I'll fucking hold him and I want to hold him, thank you. She was like, well, if not for you, do it for Kelly. I was like, alright, I'll hold him if I want to hold him. So just leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I went in, and then eventually, like, I come round then, and I was fine. I come round, I held him, spent time in there's pictures on me with him, and then I seen him, and I think that was it then. That was the last time I seen him. Kelly seen him. Kelly had him all night. Kelly also had him. He had to go in the morgue the next day and put in the freezer for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Kelly then periodically visited him throughout the day. She asked me to come, and I said, look, I've said my goodbyes now, and then the funeral directors took his body away. They had to do a post-mortem first, so the funeral had to be put on hold for a bit because they had to basically take everything out of him near enough. And I think we donated his organs.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. I remember signing something.
I feel like it's. Isn't it a compulsory in Wales?
Not for children, I don't think.
Oh right, okay.
I think it is for adults, but I don't think it is for children under a certain age, something like that. Okay. There is like a cut off, but basically, like, yeah, they took all his organs out. I know that much anyway. And then Kelly went to visit him at the morgue. Apparently, he looked a lot better at like the chapel arrest. She took a photo. I haven't got a photo, but she showed me the photo. He looked like a baby. Yeah. How a baby should do. The swelling had gone and all that, and you could obviously see what he was going to look like. And then my birthday was on the Friday, so that happened on the Monday or the Tuesday. Birthday was on the Friday, and then I pretty much went downhill from there mentally. I drank every day for about 2 weeks. Yeah. I was pretty fucking wrecked as well, every night for 2 weeks at least. Like, I was drinking through the day and stuff like that. I mean, Kelly wasn't. Kelly was brilliant. I mean, when she needed me the most, I wasn't there. And trust me, I know that. I know I went wrong. I'm not perfect. Far from it. I've made a hell of a lot of mistakes. I'm probably going to make a hell of a lot more, but I do learn from them. And, when I have had time to look back at my life, and and I have spotted some things about the way I dealt with that situation was the complete wrong way. Yeah. Not just, I was being a bit selfish, really, in that respect. Whereas I had a daughter, who was still alive, who needed me there. But I went through that phase, and then I finally pulled myself out of it to a point, kept it to the weekends. Yeah. But I was on the beer quite a lot, ballooned through drinking. And then it comes to the funeral. I was pissed at the funeral. Fucking 9 o'clock in the morning, me and Kelly were drinking. I can't remember what we were drinking now. It was just me and Kelly in the house. Isla was at school. And we were waiting for the funeral car to come. And I think... Anyway, we were drinking something spirit anyway, and I had loads, more than what she had, like one. I felt sick as a dog as well, because I was hungover from the night before. Yeah. And I drank, like, a fair whack that morning. Got in the car, pissed. I walked my son down this little fucking tiny coffin. Me and Kelly held down into the church, into the place, whatever it is. And then, so it was horrific day. There was lots of people there, which I suppose is a nice thing. The midwife was there, which was a nice surprise. The person that was there the entire time, she just turned up. Don't even know how she found out she was there. And so then he got cremated, Kelly's still got the ashes. She's basically a lot of the ashes have been put into like, I don't know, like ashes with art with ashes or something like that, where basically you can put ashes into keepsakes like rings and whatnot. And I think she's got like, I don't know, he's in something anyway. I don't know. Each their own.
Yeah.
I'm quite old-fashioned in that respect. I mean, I'm okay with cremation. I'm okay with, I'm fine with all that. But I didn't really want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Whether that's disrespectful to some people, I don't know. But that's just the way I dealt with it. And then baby died October, funeral the end of October, November, went near the end of November, I'd say. I had a lot of things started coming up from the past.
Yeah.
So things to do with this chap that Kelly was with. A lot of resentment got brought up out of nowhere towards Kelly, which was completely unfair. I know, trust me. I felt really guilty for even feeling resentment towards her. She's just been through an unbelievable thing, and I was extremely proud of her, don't get me wrong, for how she was handling it at that time. She was, she's an extremely strong woman, but something happened when my son died, and more so after that time, like in my brain, a switch flicked, and it was like floodgates opened, and it was like I'm trying to grieve the death of my son, but now I'm also having to kind of deal with everything else on top of it. Yeah. So everything just come through in my head. Kelly went out one night. I wanted to go out. She went out with, on a night out with her mates and whatnot. Why not? She at least, she should be doing things like that. The entire night she was out, I was paranoid that she was going to meet someone else, cheat on me. I don't even know where. I've always trusted Kelly. Like, even since what happened, I've never not trusted her in that respect when it comes to with other people. Like cheating on me, adultery, whatever you want to call it. I've never had any concerns, but some reason in my head I did. A lot of things started bubbling up to the surface around, like I said, her ex, the chap that she was with, and I don't know, I just started going paranoid. A lot of resentment towards the way she dealt with the house, forced me into something, getting us both into debt when we didn't need to, the lies.
Yeah.
And then we weren't obviously close because of what had gone on, I wasn't expecting her to be close to me, and
yeah.
There was a moment where she did say that she wanted to have children again, and I agreed, but I didn't feel it was the time then to do it.
Yeah.
Within like a month, I was like, no. And yeah, basically I woke up one morning and I just felt like I didn't want to be there. I just didn't want to, and this is going to sound really bad. I can understand why this is sounding bad, and I can understand why people would hate me. I hate myself, so no one's going to hate me as much as, I hate myself sometimes about this, but I didn't wake up one morning. I don't ever hate Kelly for losing the baby or anything like that. There is nothing, like, she didn't lose the baby. No one lost the baby. It's just one of those things that happened, and the resentment is nothing to do with the death of my son. The only thing that it's done, the death of my son, is obviously bring up things from the past which I've not dealt with. And I think that's the way she looks at me. She feels that I blame her. Why wouldn't she? I would if I was her. I think part of her does think that I might blame her for the death, and I don't at all. Far from it. Yeah. But I woke up one morning and I kept waking up in the morning feeling the same way. and there was just nothing coming back, and apart from resentment towards her, and the closeness between us was deteriorating. Could have been through me, could have been through her, I don't know. But it did. Until it peaked in December, beginning December, I just said, look, I don't think I can be with you anymore. I need to go. She didn't really try and fight to keep me there. As far as I'm concerned, there was no fight there. She went, okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. There was a lot of anger towards her, which is, understandable.
Yeah, cool.
But there was nothing like, there was no fight with her. It was like, all right, just go. So I got myself a flat, sat them in there. Finally sorted that out. And then the last night before I left, she showed affection towards me, held my hand all through the night. And then I woke up next morning, she went, you still going? I was like, well, yeah, of course I am. Like, today's the day I'm moving out, and I am going, yeah. And that was it. And then that's it. We split. The whole period of seeing Isla was a bit difficult for the last how many months.
Yeah.
Could have been down to me. I rang her every weekend. She didn't want to come and see me. I dismissed what Kelly wanted me to do, which was to, come down to hers and spend time with Isla with her, and then take her out for like half a day or to the park, just do like baby steps with her. At the time I didn't want to, because I was pissed off maybe, I don't know, I was just, but she was right. And then eventually when I started doing that, she started to come round, Isla started to come round, and now we're in a routine now where I see her I will be seeing her every other weekend now. And that's my life today.
Wow. I mean, I'm not even going to comment on what you've spoken about, because, like I've said to you many times during our conversations, is that it would be unfair for me to even pass comment, because I've never had to go through anything like that, and I can only just imagine how it felt. You know what I mean? So I can't pass comment, but I think it is really eye-opening on how things can go badly. Do you know what I mean? Like in a situation like that, and you didn't expect it to. But before we end this part, I do want to comment on how you are now, because I think it's important that obviously you've been through so much trauma, you know what I mean, and a lot of grief and a lot of things like that, but now, how are you spinning everything round into what you're doing now? Because I know you're doing a lot of positive things, and you're doing a lot of things for you, so how have you coped and what are you doing?
When I split with Kelly, I was obviously, like I mentioned, completely new place, completely alien place, didn't know what I was doing, where I was. I had a bit of weight, obviously I wanted to lose, so I know that was a goal, so I decided to start, working towards that. Mentally, I did fall into the period for a couple of months where I was drinking heavy, I will admit. I was buying quite a lot of alcohol. Obviously, I wouldn't say I probably am an alcoholic, but I'm not the alcoholic where I drink excessively every night and that's it. That's my life. I will end up drinking excessively for short periods of time, but at high consumption, like more than probably what the normal alcoholic does. You know what I mean? They top themselves or whatever. I get stupid sometimes to drink. I'm not better now. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I quit drinking, just to kind of prove to myself, gain a bit of self-control that I can actually quit. Just to prove that, okay, you're not a full-on alcoholic. You are being a little bit silly there, but still, you've got to make sure you keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
So I quit for I think it's 3 months. I quit. I didn't drink for 3 months, and then I drank. I think it was the first time when you guys come down. I think that was one of the first times I drank, and then since then it's been like every other weekend, something like that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I've learned to. I have dealt with my Kelly issue, whereas in the past, I've healed. I have been quite harsh to her over the last months or so. Last couple of months, there's some things that I've said which I shouldn't have said to her. One of them being, I'll be quite comfortable to never see you again for the rest of my life, things like that, which was a bit harsh, and I have apologised for that.
Yeah.
I've grieved in my own way about my son, and I feel like I'm at a point where I'm at that point where it's not going to get any easier now. This is what it's going to be for the rest of my life. It's always going to be there, and this is I'm at a point where I am dealing with it better now, and I've accepted it for what it was, and but obviously it'll always be there in my heart.
Yeah.
And like I said, and obviously, I hit my goals to do with weight loss. There wasn't too much there, but I have lost that. So I've achieved that. So now I'm looking at another goal now. So obviously I'm building up weight now, building muscle now. And then obviously, like I said, pretty much my entire week is work, training, and just trying to enjoy life as much as I can, really, getting out and about.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, I am in a better place. A really good place. Don't think I've been this happy for a long time.
Yeah.
Even when I was in a relationship with Kelly, which tells me a lot of things.
Yeah.
I obviously miss her, because she was more so as a friend. I do miss that friendship side because, I haven't got many friends down here at all.
Yeah.
But as a partner, I'm glad. I think it was the right decision. Maybe I should have held out a little bit longer and been there for her, but I don't know. I really don't know. I did what I did, and I can't take it back. It's done, and I know she'll never forgive me for it, which is fair enough. I hope she does, but I know she's got a lot of hatred towards me because of it, or resentment, should I say. Maybe hate's too harsh, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
you're focusing more on yourself now, aren't you, Aaron?
Yeah, but I think it's like I said to you, I've learned to love myself again.
Yeah.
And it's something that I wasn't doing, or I didn't love myself before, whether that be down to, my physical appearance or, how I dealt with things mentally, in my life, whatever. I've come to terms with who I am as a person, what I can achieve and what I'm going to achieve, and it's the frustration side's gone, and just feel a lot happier in life, and I am happy. I'm content. I'm pretty more than content. I am happy.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. I think I really appreciate you talking so honestly about everything that you've been through, because I think I've said it many a time, I think it's a big eye opener for a lot of people that they don't understand everything that happens behind closed doors, and
no,
for you to go through something like you have, and then to come out the other end as a almost better person, like feeling happier and more like yourself. I think that's something that you should be really proud of.
Thank you.
So, well done, mate. Very proud of you. Okay. So we've got to that point in the podcast now where you get to ask me some stuff.
Yeah.
Fair game, so feel free to ask away, mate.
Ask for the question. Time.
Do you want to do some jingles for the podcast? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that was dead good.
I think that, Ask for the question. Ask for the question time.
I'd love it, man. Just start doing it with me. Just quit your job and we'll just do this for a living.
Oh, mate, if you could pay me what I needed just to get up, I'll be doing it. So, 400,000 a year, I'll be right.
I could offer you sexual favours, that's all.
That'll do.
Go on then, mate, ask away.
Well, I'm going to ask you quite a broad question now.
Okay.
How are you feeling today?
Today?
Okay, sum up your emotions this week. Be a little bit more specific, I suppose, and then you can kind of push on those emotions that you felt this week.
Yeah, it's not been the best week, has it?
I don't know, you tell me.
No, I mean, it's not been the best few months, really, in hindsight. Yeah, I mean, this week, we'll go from last week. Yeah, it's been quite tough. Yeah, I mean, I find myself because obviously working in a school, and being around kids all the time, you find yourself having to be at 100% all the time.
Yeah.
And over the last few months, it's like I've not been 100%. I've not even been 50%, really. And then obviously the kids, they feed off the energy that you're giving them. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you walk into a classroom and they can tell straight away if you're 100% or not, and if you're not, then they don't get the best lessons. Simple as that, really.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, the week hasn't been great, but obviously that all came to a head now, and yeah, I think it's all about coming out the other end of it, like I think what you've kind of discussed, not to any level obviously of the same as what you've discussed, but yeah, I feel like I'm getting there. Yeah.
So, are you able to elaborate as to why you felt the way you have this week? Or something that you don't want to speak about at the moment?
No, I can speak about it.
It's just so, obviously, you can gain context as to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. So obviously, my relationship status has changed over the past couple of months, really. I think, yeah, so obviously I was with somebody, Laura, for 2.5, 3 years, and like you say, I thought things were going really well, because when we got together, obviously I was not in the best place, like physically and mentally, I suppose. I'd just come back from China, and I'd just started to get my life back together, do you know what I mean, after being torn apart by the emotions of being in another country for so long. And she came into my life really when I really needed her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we had a really good time, actually. Like, I loved every minute that I was spent with her. We did a lot of good things together, we went on holiday together, and we would go out places, and obviously her family are really, really nice, and I got to meet some of her friends, and we used to go up to Leeds, and we'd go clubbing, which I obviously don't really do, but I used to do it because of the person that you're with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you say, I think obviously I did my PGCE last year, and that was a really big strain because it was very intense, and then I couldn't drive, could I? And I couldn't do this, and I just couldn't get a job, and couldn't, there was just no takers really. Nobody wanted to take a risk on me. So obviously I've been supply teaching since, and I've been at this school now for 6 months, is it? And they've been good to me, and they've also not been good to me. But yeah, I felt that things were going fine, and everything was okay. And then, like you say, a couple of months ago, I went round like I always do to see her. I'd been out with Dan in the day, and we'd been had a coffee, and we'd had a nice chat, and I went round to see her, and she turned round and she just said, I think we need to go on a break. And obviously that hurt.
Yeah.
I think the reasonings that were given for going on said break and for her being unhappy, I mean, I didn't understand them at the time, but I think I do now. Obviously I wasn't good to be around. I had been putting on some weight, and obviously things weren't going great with the school, and then so on and so forth, and I was not coming home and taking it out on her, but I was coming home, and I think she noticed I wasn't myself anymore, and I think that was hurting her. But anyway, so we went on a break, and yes, we spent a few months apart, really. We would still see each other, and we'd still chat to each other every now and again, but it wasn't the same. But obviously that came to a head recently, and we've decided, well, I'll say we decided, she decided that it would be best for us to go our separate ways. And and that hurts as well.
Yeah.
Because I did see a big future with her, actually. I think I'd spoken to you, hadn't I, about it? And
yeah, you did.
And I know I was happy, but at the same time she wasn't happy, and and I think during that 2 months that we were apart, I'd kind of spoke to all of my friends, and I'd spoken to a lot of people, and I think I'd started to come to terms with the fact that we probably weren't going to get back together. Mainly just because of the way things had panned out, and it corresponded with me going to the gym, didn't it? And I got back in the gym, I've lost a stone in 2 months, so I was feeling better. But obviously when we met up, and she kind of said, I think we should do this, I think that, and it was one of them, I was hit with one of those moments where, what do I do? Do you know what I mean? Do I fight for it? Do you know what I mean? And do I, or I don't want to say fight, do I beg? Do you know what I mean? And say no? But I sat there, and I just accepted it for what it was, and the thing was, I think I had to do that because you can't make somebody be with you, can you? You know what I mean? And you can't. You need to want them to be with you on their own accord, and I think right now she doesn't want that. So,
you mentioned in the relationship that basically you felt that it comes across to me from what you just said that it seems like it's all one-sided, that it's obviously she's the one who wants out. But since you've been split, have you kind of had some clarity yourself, and have you kind of looked back at the relationship and kind of thought, actually things weren't as good as I thought they were?
Yeah.
And did you want more from the relationship as well? And would you want more, having to do it all again?
Definitely. I think with our, like you say, I think when it happened, it happened really quickly at a time when I'd just been passed up for a job at the school I'm at now, when I genuinely thought this could be a good fit, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd worked really hard there, and it just didn't pan out, and that's just the way life is. So I was already pretty low, do you know what I mean, after being passed up for a job, and it's like you say, it's not like it's just I went for an interview and the interview lasted 40 minutes. We're talking, I was there all day on the Friday, and then I had to teach a class in front of the head teacher and in front of the deputy head and a governor, and then I had to go to an all-day interview where we were doing tasks, we had different things to do, we had all these different ideas and everything, and we had to put them across, so it was really quite draining.
Yeah.
But I think I started to realise that we weren't spending as much time together anymore. It was kind of like, obviously in the week we would see each other, but I mean, by the time I'd finished work and I'd gone home and I'd relaxed a little bit, I was seeing her at 7 o'clock, and then we were going to bed at 9,
Yeah.
So we were spending a couple of hours together in sleep, which is nice, obviously. I'm not saying that's a negative thing, but like, that was it. But I just noticed we weren't spending as much time together, and there wasn't as much communication. And I feel like she, like you say, I think she kind of just got into a position where she felt like she couldn't speak to me about things because of what was happening with me. She knew how hard I was trying to get a job and how, all of this. But at the same time, I couldn't get it, and she didn't want to then just add to it. But I think then it got to a point where she just couldn't handle it anymore. And she'd bottled up. Again, I don't want to say similar to you, but like, I think she'd held into these emotions of things that maybe she didn't like, and then eventually she got to a point where she was like, no, I need to let this out now. I can't hold it in anymore. This is annoying me. This is upsetting me. We know we're not the same. But then, obviously, that time that we were apart, I am going to the gym, and like you said, you get your confidence back, don't you? Like you start training and you're working out, and a little bit of weight comes off. You don't notice it, but it's when somebody walks past you and says, "Oh, you look good. You've lost some weight." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or say, "Have you been losing weight? Your face looks thinner," or something like that. And I started getting compliments like that at work, and the kids started to be like, "Oh, you've lost some weight, what are you doing?" The older kids, and I started to just feel happier, and I got myself back on a good path. Do you know what I mean?
I think you have. I think you've. I know this has really been a really dark time for you. I think more than what you're kind of leading on, really. It's an extremely, difficult time for you at the moment, but you have battled through it, and like we were saying, you've learned to love yourself again.
Yeah, I think I watched something on the telly, on Netflix, and it was something that I'd been told to watch a long time ago, but I never watched it because it was a comedian, and he's a very good comedian, Daniel Sloss, and he's really, really good, but he keeps a tally on his Twitter of how many relationships he's ended, how many divorces they've had, how many cancelled engagements and all this. And it's all because he does a stand-up routine where he talks about relationships, and It's called jigsaw because about how we slam people into a jigsaw because that's what we're told to do. You know, we see our families or we see our grandparents and we see all these things, you know, they've been with each other for 60 years because back then it was tradition. That's what you did. Whereas now we've kind of got to a point where, you know, the first person we meet, we put them straight into this jigsaw, do you know what I mean? And it completes the jigsaw.
Yeah.
But then over time, you begin to like lose yourself, and the person that was in the jigsaw might go, and then you've got to try and take them out. And he did a really good routine where he basically said, you know, you've got to love yourself 100%. You know, you've got to love yourself at 100% because if you love yourself at 20%, somebody can come in and love you 25%, and it feels like the whole world, when actually it's not enough. But if you love yourself at 100% and you get to a point where you can be like, I'm comfortable with myself, I'm happy with who I am, and when somebody does come, they have to love you above 100. Do you know what I mean? Which is incredibly difficult, and that's when you know you've met the right one.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really great analogy, and I'm not saying that because I thought that Laura only loved me 30%, because I don't think that, you know. I don't at all. But it made me realise that I needed to love myself more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like you said, I've been making little steps. Obviously, the first month was pretty tough. Because obviously we were still going back and forth, weren't we? And, you know, we were still talking and we were still had more communication. And then the last month we've not really spoke at all. So, yeah. I still love her though. You know that, you know.
Yeah, I think there'll always be a spot in your heart for her. Like, I think there's always a spot. It'll always be a spot in my heart for Kelly, and perhaps there's always a spot for other girls that I've had relationships with. I think it's only natural, when you've been loved by someone and you love them back. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's a moment in time that only you and that other person have shared, and you will remember that until the day you die. And I think it's just one of those things, you will. She'll always be there. She'll always be part of your life. She'll always be in your heart. But like I said, another thing why I think it's good for it to be there as well is because it helps learn from this relationship and what you can obviously take into another relationship. Where you think, when you actually sit there and you sum it up and you look at where it all went wrong, you can kind of say, well, actually, I was a bit of a cunt there. I better not be like that in my next relationship. But there I was pretty good and I was strong there, so I'm going to keep that. And, and you can sit there and obviously don't think too much into it, but it is good sometimes just to kind of reevaluate how you've been as a person in that relationship and what you could have done better. And
like you say, you have to deconstruct it, don't you? And you need to sit there and you need to be like, actually, I need to get better at this, or I need to stick to this, or I need to do this. But like you say, right now, I think we're both in a very similar position where we're not openly looking for anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's time for me and you, to focus on ourselves.
I am on Tinder, just if anyone's looking.
If anyone's looking, look him up. But see, I'm not. I'm not on any dating sites. I'm not on anything. I'm on social media, obviously, but very rarely. It's like you say, like I'm just trying to focus on me. I want to lose quite a lot more weight. I need to try and get myself a permanent position in a school where I feel like I'm wanted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a school where I can really grow and prosper, and then on top of that, then I think there's just a lot of things I need to work on. So You know, I'm just going to focus on that.
You haven't got time for it, being honest, Paul. You've got, like I said, you've got so much stuff that you want to achieve in your life.
Yeah.
You know, more so in the short term. You know, you just haven't got the time for it at the moment. Or personally, I don't think there's, like I said, you're kind of like at that point now in your life where everything's going to be happening so quickly for you now. You know, when it comes to getting your own place, getting your car. You know, like all these milestones in your life are going to be happening like now, you know, like within the next year or so, 2 years.
Yeah.
And,
right, I've got you back.
Did you go knock on the next door neighbour's door, mate, and get him to reboot his router?
I literally went round next door, mate, and I was like, do you mind knocking that wall through so it's a bit easier to get get the bandwidth, do you know what I mean? But,
yeah,
carry on.
I think we were just I think I was saying about online dating. Just to quickly summarise, I was saying so I've recently gone to online dating more so to this last week, just to kind of more so for the interaction really with female company. I think I don't want to be in a relationship at the moment at all. I think it's just more for the chat side of it really, more than anything.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be good at all in a relationship at the moment, truth be told.
No.
I need a bit more healing.
Yeah. I mean, I think I spoke to you at great lengths, I think, about the situation I'm in. And like you say, I think for me, and like we'd said, I just think for now it's just best if I focus on me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in time because it does take a little bit of time, doesn't it, to heal up and to get yourself back to where you was, you know. But now I've got a lot of support around me, you know, to get through it. So I'm not too worried yet. Ask me that in a few months' time, and we'll see where we're at then.
Well, we've actually set a calendar event, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
The next I think it was last week or this, I can't remember now how many it was, but for
Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah, Saturday. So in a year's time, we're gonna have a chat with each other and see where we both are at that point. And I think that's a really good thing to do, because I think subconsciously that'll always be there in your mind.
Yeah.
And you'll want to achieve something for that time, you know. So it's good. It's good, like a little bit of inspiration as well for the both of us, and yeah. But we'll be definitely having that call in a year's time.
Yeah, definitely. Just to see what happens.
Yeah. I'll probably be dead.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah. Jay's in some crack den. They're trying to track him down.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw him? Oh, I'm sure he went into this house about 4 years ago. It's just never come out. Is there anything else you want to ask?
No, I mean, it's just nice to know that you're thinking positive. And like a couple of the questions that I asked was more so for you to kind of battle with yourself as to, like I said, asking you the emotion that you felt that week. And, you know, I think that one of the other questions I was going to ask you, but you pretty much touched upon it anyway, is, you know, how can you kind of overcome that emotion that you felt that week? Because obviously I was aware, you know, what's been going on in your life and whatnot. And you've already answered that and said, you know, by basically loving yourself and going to the gym and whatnot. And obviously, you know, you're getting a car and, you know, and you probably move along, or you start looking to move out, you know, when your job's secure and you've got that, you know, money coming in and get your own place, and, you know, it's just all happening for you, mate. And I'm really happy for you.
I'm trying hard, mate. I am.
Yeah, you've come off the smack, and I'm just fucking proud of you. Not funny, is it, really?
I can live again. Well, anyway, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Yeah, Same to you, mate.
And we'll definitely do it again, because I'm sure you've got some other stuff you'd like to talk about, like how to hide a body and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're going on Tinder now, so that's how it works.
Questions. Sorry, just doing an outro. What were you saying, mate?
Can you do it again? I won't talk over it this time, so we can have a proper outro. This is the outro. As soon as the outro's finished, I'm cutting it off.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the end. That's the end. That's the end of Paul's questions.
So you've got to the end. What a great man. What a strong man. What a brilliant human. And also, for him to take the time out and for you to listen, I think it's really important, not just for me, because obviously I'm the one doing these podcasts, but also I think it's important for Jamie, because he really needed to get that out there and for people to know his story, because I think as men, as we've talked about before and during the podcast, we have this little stigma where we don't talk about our feelings and we don't do certain things that maybe we should do. So hopefully, I'm hoping that by listening to this, we've helped at least some people that might have been going through the same thing. And even if they're not going through that, they might want to reach out and speak and talk. You know, I'm always available. And I don't always record, so it's fine. But I really enjoyed that. And during that podcast, because I've played it in its entirety, and obviously there was a bit where we dropped and we came back, so you might have noticed that. But during that podcast, I would take little breaks after each section, the same way I always do. And I'd go and have a cigarette, go and get a drink, because I knew the next part was going to be long, and get myself ready, get my notes prepared. And during one of those times, obviously when we're recording it on Skype, nothing's recording. I turn it off. But when Jamie was there, I came back and I could just hear him playing his guitar, which is a hobby that he loves doing. And I recorded a little bit of it. So what I want to do before I fade it out is I'm going to play that little snippet of Jamie playing his guitar, and then we'll end. But thank you for listening, and we'll be back, so you keep listening and pass it on to your friends, whatever you want to do. But really just enjoy yourself and take care of each other, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon.